This is a video of the latest features in SpatialXL. We're now looking at version 7.2. The latest additions have been really in the area of thematics and simplifying and reusing thematics. First thing I will show you is what we've done with viewing data. I view the data grid. Here's our data grid. And you'll see there are quite a few columns in this grid, and sometimes it's not so easy to quickly find the column you want to find. Well, there's a new button here called columns, and if you click that, it'll give you a list of the columns in a grid form. So for example, if I want to, I know there's a column for age here, but I don't want to search for them here. It's a bit tricky to scroll left and try and go through them here. So I can quickly just click in the filter here and say A for age. Ah, there we go. There's an area one. I'm not worried about that, but A, there we go. There my age columns are. So that quickly brings them up, and if I click in one of these columns here, it brings up the column and makes it visible over here and puts a little bullet next to it so I know where it is. You click on any others, it'll bring them up, and there we go. If I quickly wanted to hide those age columns, which is what was my original intention was, I can just click here and they hide. There we go, and take away my filter, and there are all my columns, and I quickly want to go back to the beginning, and there's my beginning column. So there we go, just a very quick and nice easy way to navigate and move around the columns in a grid. The next features are to do with our thematics. So as you know, we've got our start button here, which gives us very easy access to thematics. First thing that I've done is I've simplified the text settings. There's only two options now. The first one is to do with where the text comes from, how it displays, but not the styling of it. The styling then goes in a second tab. I'll start off here with our basic styling, which we've also changed. So let's choose our stores layer and look at the basic styling for that. See in our styling dialog, we've got a picture of what the style looks like. And if I change it, it animates straight away, so I can get a very easy idea of what my styling is looking like as I'm doing it. There we go. Now, one more thing is, once one can work with lots of styles, and maybe one would like to reuse them again somewhere else or share them with other people. Well, on any dialog that has stuff that can be shared and that you want to reuse, there's this little predefined settings button. If you click that button up, it'll bring you up a little list here of saved settings. You can have a name for your setting. These are blank in this instance, but you don't have to have names, but you can. And then to the right, there's a preview of what the settings look like. So for example, at the bottom here, I've got a setting with very, very thin lines, very thin border lines. Okay, so if I wanted to use that setting quickly, I just click it and I'll say use. There you go, you can see my settings have gone back to that. If I want to go back to this setting here, I can say use. When I'm happy, there's the one with a border with dashes in it. If I'm happy with this, I can just use it, or go back again and choose what I really want, which happens to be this first one here. There you go. If I want to save a setting, let me choose a special setting which I might want to reuse a lot, and maybe it's going to have thick borders but with dashes on the border. There's my setting. I can go into my grid, my settings dialog here, and I can click the plus button. There you go, it saves my setting for me, which I can then reuse later. I'll cancel that. Now, our other settings are similar. So we did basic styling there. We can now look at our text settings, the text styling. See, it's very similar. We've simplified the text styling dialog. Now all the styling information is in one place. It's very straightforward. There's your font, default background color, padding around it, borders, border color, halo, and the halo color. Let's say, for example, here I want to put a light coral halo, and I want to make it a bit bigger. There you go, and you see it animated right below you, so you can see exactly what your style looks like. I'll reset that. And again, you've got predefined styles here. So here I set up some. I didn't name them, but there they go. So say, for example, I wanted to use this one here with a bit of quite a thick halo and a slightly bigger font. Click Use, and there it is. And similarly, I can save by clicking the plus button. I can save the current settings here for reuse later. Okay, we'll go on to other items here. So that was basically our basic styling. We've done our text styling. Our themes work in a similar way. So if I go into themes, again, you've got the usual operation with themes, but again, you might want to save a theme and reuse it, or have some stock themes which you want to have access easily. You are able to save your themes over here to a file and load from a file, but then you have to know where it was and so on. You can store it in the system by just clicking this predefined settings button. There you'll see a theme, a little sample of how it looks, and you can just reuse it by clicking Use. In the case of themes, if I click Use, it warns you because you are overriding a lot of information if you do use a particular saved theme. To save the current theme, you just click plus and it'll put your current theme into here in the same way. It covers themes. Now, for example, in colors, they also handle separately. So I might have, for example, some set of colors, which I've already set up some. I think let's have a look here. Here's an example. When I choose an area manager column, I've got a whole set of colors I'd like to use for them. So if I want to use that set, all I do is I click the Use. You'll see here it populated them all over here for me. So I can reuse them again. In this case here, there is no column called Area Manager, and this does come from another set. So I want to use this set of colors here. No problem, I'll use it and put them through. And so on. So I can use saved settings of theme colors, just like before. Of course, you do have to remember to put in your own color column. That won't be saved because that is very specific to the data. Done the same with Heatmap. Oh, just for the colors, let me just show you there are two options here. So those were colors based on text values. Colors based on number ranges have their own settings. And there we go. So I had some here. For example, I want to use that one. There you go. Or if I want to use the one that's reversed, there you go. Or I want to use this other particular one here called SSS, and there you go. Alright, so that was your colors based on numbers. Okay, then I'll show you the next one here. For Heatmap, very similar. Heatmap, your colors, you can choose some predefined ones here. I've got some. Here's one with an extra color in it. We'll use that. There's your Heatmap colors from a theme. And if I set up a special set of colors which I really like, maybe a bluish theme, I can set it up here and then just click the plus button and save it and reuse it later. Images, similar kind of concept. You might have a set of stock images you'd love to use. Again, if you use the same little predefined settings button, here's a particular stock setting set I created. It's got a little picture, gives you an idea of the characters. They can't all fit in. Let's say I want to use that. You click Use It, and there you go. It populates those values in for you, and there you can see them. And then we finally, for scene tips as well, you've got the option now when you edit your scene tips. The button's at the bottom here, but if you've got some pre-scene tips set up, you can save them as well for reuse in a similar way. So for example, if I chose this one here, it populated as what was in there. Right. Now, one further thing with these thematics, so we saw they're all saved locally and it's very nice. Maybe you want to set up a whole set of themes for a project and then distribute that to other project members. Or maybe when you're installing for a client, you want to give him a standard set of theming. That's all catered for by our theming system. If I go into any one of the theming dialogues here, you see there's an option here, first of all, to say file, load, and export. This file, load, and export will save you this current setting in a file, or these current settings that you see in front of me here in a file, or I could load them from a file. So if I said file load, I'd choose the theme file, the drawing settings file in this case, and it would add the settings from that file to here. If it was the append option, if it was the load option, it would replace these settings with those. So that's on a per setting set basis. In the advanced menu, you can export all these settings, which includes all the saved themes, all the saved color styles, text styles, heat map styles, and so on, in a file, in a package. Just choose export all settings. You can put it in the desktop and call it test. There's another one I did before. We'll call this one TST to make it separate. And it will save all my theme settings in that package. So here's just a message telling me they've been saved and that I can reload them somewhere else. When I load a package, it replaces all my settings, all my saved themes with the data from that package. It is simply done by going advanced, load all settings. It gives me a warning because once I go through with this, it's going to replace every setting, which might be not what I want in this case. A good idea before you load some settings from someone else is to first save your settings so you can restore them later if you want to. I'm not going to reload them in this case, but that's what you would do. So what you can do with when providing licenses to a client is setting up a standard theme which applies to that client. And they can just you can load that theme at install time, and they all can then reuse those settings in their work. Okay, and then one final thing is hyperlinks. So we had an interesting situation here where we would like to maybe hyperlink to data on the map, and we've provided a solution here with the scene tips. So going to my scene tips here, I can set scene tips for this particular layer, the stores layer. What I want to do in this example, I think I saved some here, so let's try this one here, and I'll just use it just to see what it says. You can define hyperlinks within your scene tips, and when you click on the hyperlink, it'll jump there. So what I'm going to do in this case here is I'm going to set up a special hyperlink which is going to Google for something. So let's call it Google, select it, say hyperlink, good, and I know the Google address will be I'm going to let it search for using this URL, but I need to choose a field to insert. Now, you can insert the field just as is, or you can insert the field that will be friendly for URLs. You have to choose depending upon the application. In this case, because it is going to Google, I need to make sure it's friendly for URLs. And what I want to search for is, let's just see if I can make it look for, let's see here, if we can get store name. What's a good number to use here? Let's look for suburb. Town. province. Okay. And maybe just to see what we are doing, let's add some fields from our thing so we know where it is. We'll put the store name in, and for fun we'll just put in the suburb, town, so we can see them, and province. So there's our tip. Just make sure it's high enough. I think I'll make it, let's make it 200 for safety. We'll see if it's too big, and we just enable the tips for that layer. Okay, very good. Now I have to just enable the tips on the scene. Let me just pop it out quickly so I can access it. Scene tips, I'll keep it out, it's just easier. So I can hover over a point here. And it brings up Google. It tells me it couldn't find that particular spot, but there we go, we've got a hyperlink anyway from our map. Now you could set any number of hyperlinks up. In this case we're only showing one, but we could set any number to do different actions. So what we have now is actually hyperlinks on our layers, and it's configurable. You do have to put on the scene tips option here at the bottom to enable it, because sometimes the scene tips are irritating, so you can quickly turn it off by just clicking that off, and then there will be no tips when you hover over these points. There we go, Central Clarksdorp, searched from the map. Okay, well that finishes a summary of the new changes to SpatialXL. I hope they are going to be fun to use.